But Ben at a Wrestle Place, let's go with that. Out of everyone in NXT, I'd say Bron Breakker is most likely to become a world champion. He's got pretty much everything at such a young age. And yeah, he is still very young. What do you think, Putty? Is Bron Breakker a future world champion on the main roster?
Yes.
World
He's
champion.
a top tool player. He'll definitely get there. I'm not saying he's going to be there in the next 2-3 years. Of course not. But in the long term, I could see him. Shawn Michaels came out this week or last week saying he feels Bron Breakker and Carmelo Hayes are main eventers for WrestleMania down the road.
That's a big statement. That's a bold
statement. Definitely agree. Bron Breakker is everything you want in a wrestler, that we want in a wrestler, everything Vince McMahon wants in a wrestler, I think Triple H is looking for in a wrestler. His promos aren't the greatest.
That's it.
They're still good. He could probably benefit from a Paul Heyman, but he doesn't need one.
I think it works for NXT, just like we've seen many times before over the years of like successful people from NXT that we thought was going to be a big deal on the main roster, and then it wasn't. I think Bron Breakker, as good as he is, I don't necessarily know. I mean, Shawn Michaels, it's hard to go against Shawn Michaels, because he's Shawn Michaels. But, Shawn Michaels also, he's got an emotional attachment to these people, because he's training them. He's there with them all the time. He's boys with them. And he's molding them along the way. He's like a parent. Of course he loves them. But, it's different. It's a different world in the main roster. We know that. And Bron Breakker, you just hit it on the head. His promo skills are not that great. They're serviceable. Picketing all day. Serviceable on NXT, but to get to main event WrestleMania level, no. I think you said it before, he would need a Paul Heyman if Paul Heyman's still around at that point. He would need a manager if he's going to be at that level. There's something missing, I think. There's something as a heel, it would work. I think for Bron Breakker.
He's much better as a heel, yeah.
I don't think the dude can ever be a face. It just doesn't work. It was not clicking. Carmelo Hayes, I see, for sure. But the question isn't about Carmelo Hayes. The question is about Bron Breakker. World champion. I see a mid-card champion at best. I don't see a world champion.
I disagree. I see everyone in that system fully behind this guy, and they'll really push him to the moon. I see it in the near future.
Do you think because he's a Steiner? Is that the case? Because there seems to be some preferential treatment for second generation or third generation wrestlers. Do you think that has any play to it?
I don't think so. Because when he first came out, they didn't reference his lineage. Mm-hmm. It was only when they got to the Hall of Fame that they even mentioned it.
Right, but even with that, though, I mean, there still seems to be some sort of, special treatment.
But nowadays, at the WrestleMania weekend, they kind of want to distance themselves from Rick Steiner. So I don't see that being a factor here.
True.
I think it might have been in the beginning, but he's it's like Charlotte Flair. He won everybody over.
No, again, NXT, though, main roster is a different beast. I thought, listen, we talked in the show about Karrion Kross, remember, from NXT? We thought he was going to be a huge deal in the main roster. I thought he was going to explode. And honestly, it really hasn't worked that well. I mean, he's been released once.
Yeah, that came back.
Yeah, hurt him a lot. Came back in a big way, actually. Mm-hmm. And it's just still, it's not hitting. I like his segments, but, I'm in the minority in that category. It seems like a lot of people are not too thrilled when he's on TV for whatever reason. And that's one example. But there are so many other examples of that. Wrestlers that were hot in NXT that we thought was going to be a big deal, and they just weren't. Bron Breakker, I don't see him being any better than any of those people that we mentioned.
In NXT. He's good in NXT. His promos are good in NXT. His matches are good in NXT. You can say that about anybody in NXT. I think you're putting him in a corner here.
No, but the problem is Grayson Waller, for example, because he has that it factor. That's why, like, I say Grayson Waller, he's that guy. I think he's the real deal. That shined a lot in NXT because it wasn't just his wrestling ability; it was his character, it was his charisma, it was how he cut a promo. Like, it was all very professional, it was all polished and ready for a main event. I think Grayson Waller will be a world champion before Bron Breakker is.
See, I don't see Grayson Waller world champion material.
Wow, really?
I like him. I want him to be. I just don't think the machine is behind him being like a face of the company. I don't see that. Unfortunately, because I like him. I wish he would.
Why do you say that?
I just don't know. I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. I can't really verbate it. There's something about him I just don't feel is clicking with the higher ups that would give him the torch to, like, hey, here's a key to the kingdom.
His first match on SmackDown was against Edge, and then Edge afterwards giving over to say, like, you swam. That's huge.
I'm agreeing with you.
How are the powers that be
I just
not for him?
There's something about I don't see him being a world champion.
I disagree, my friend. I don't think he's the guy to beat. I don't think he's the guy to beat Roman Reigns. But, like, hey, there's another championship out there. Like, he could realistically beat Seth Rollins, not right now, but then, or he beat Finn Balor. He could beat anyone on Raw, probably. I mean, so long as Roman Reigns is a champion, I don't see Grayson Waller beating him there on SmackDown. But I'm doubling down on this. I see Grayson Waller being a champion before Bron Breakker.